about our standards before the game, and I thought our guys did a great job with it. The first thing is, during the game, Jalen Green started going a little bit, and so we were shooting a free throw, and I didn't want Houston to hear, and so I just kind of whispered to DeMar. I said, DeMar, we're going to blitz Jalen. This is during the flow of the game. And, our first standard is to communicate at the highest of all levels. And DeMar got the point across to the rest of the guys out there before our last free throw attempt. And then the next couple of possessions, our guys blitzed them. And that helps slow them down. Good young players like that, you're not going to stop them, but you got to try to find ways to slow them down. And then during the fly, we called the blitz off. And again, they communicated to each other what coverage we're in. And so our first standard, like I said, is to communicate at a high level. That's just one example of us doing it during the course of the game when things can be chaotic. But the next thing is playing together. Well, it was obvious tonight. I mean, we had 47 made field goals, and we had 33 assists on those 47 made field goals. We made the game easy for one another. We played for each other. We played together. We want to do that at the highest level, and tonight, versus a very good team, we did do it. And then our third standard is competing. We want to compete. And that's offensively, that's defensively, that's in practice, that's during shooting games. And they're a good team. I take my hat off. I said it about MA before the game. Done a hell of a job with that group. They bring it every night. There's a level of physicality that they bring to the table, but also a level of competitiveness. And I thought our guys competed. And when shit got going and they got up in our face or something happened with us to them, we stood our ground like we're supposed to, but we did it smartly. And that's how you compete. You can compete without, getting 3, 4, 5, 6 techs or getting thrown out the game. You can make sure your presence is known on both ends of the floor. And that's our third standard, and I thought our guys did that at a very high level. Man, a hell of a game by everybody. They've been great in the steals. We had 10 turnovers. We had 10 kick-aheads for 23 points. And I can go down the line of everybody that was really good for us, from Kevin off the bench on down. But Malik, you talk about, having the ball in your hands for a lot of possessions during the course of the game, and to have 12 assists and 0 turnovers, especially against a team like that, is outstanding. That just shows what he's capable of day in and day out while trying to defend and playing extended minutes. So heck of a job by everybody on our team from top to bottom.
Yeah, Mike, the fire that we saw from your guys tonight, and a controlled fire where clearly the Rockets lost their composure, but just how do you model that and get this team to play at that level with that intensity every night?
It's who we are supposed to be. It's not about bottling it, James. That's our standard. Just like I mentioned, we have to compete. And we competed for 48 minutes tonight. Fox said it to our group at the end in the locker room. He said the way we competed in terms of the physicality that we brought to the table, how hard we played for one another, how we protected one another, covered for one another, and gave up 20 free throws. It's a hell of a job, and we got to keep that going because that's who we are. That's what he said.
Mike, just kind of along those lines, that's obviously a physical team. When you see your guys kind of in the position they were, having lost 6 of 7, was it anything added to that? Like, was there a weight on their shoulders to come out and do that type of showing tonight, specifically against that team who had kind of owned you guys last year? You
would have to ask them that. I didn't do anything different going into this game with our group. I coached them. I told them the truth. Told them that I thought we were a lot better than the way we're playing. Showed it to them, and I think they believe it. And they just went out and did it. But you would have to ask them, because we didn't do anything different or tricky, or we didn't talk about getting the weight off our shoulders if it was there for them.
Coach, with points in the paint, threes, lack of turnovers, and just a really efficient offensive night against one of the best defenses in the league, what do you feel like allowed that sort of success and led to that tonight?
I thought there was a level of competitiveness on every possession. And you can compete offensively. If I'm running the floor and I'm even with a guy, I can beat you down the floor like Isaac did and get a dunk, catch it and get a dunk in transition just because I competed with my man to run down the floor. You can obviously compete defensively in a lot of different ways. You can compete offensively a lot of different ways too. But on top of that, when you're competing, that means you're in tune to every single possession. You're locked in, and you're not going to get bored with the small things. You're not going to get bored with the details. If I'm supposed to set a pick and roll and I know they're physical, I know I'm about to get hit. When I come off it, they're going to get my body, and they may not make the call. So that means I got to be strong with it. When I pick it up to make a pass, I can't be soft with it, pick it up, telegraph my pass, and think it's going to get there. I got to come off with a purpose, maybe ball fake, and then make the pass. But we were in tune with every single possession on the offense end of the floor with what our job was supposed to be versus a physical team, and that will help you stack plays, which would lead to the efficiency that we had tonight.
Hey, Mike, the character of this roster is pretty well known. A lot of really good guys in that locker room. I know you talked about to compete, you don't necessarily have to get texts and stuff like that. This Rockets team likes to get under people's skin. Yeah. And to have Fox and Monk, even though Monk got a tech, respond the way that they did, not back down from that, the team not back down, an 11-1 run to end that first half. Is that needed from this group as well to maybe not try and pick a fight, but also not to back down from one when it's brought to you?
100%. And that, I addressed that in there. You can't. This is grown-up business, and the slightest advantage that your opponent feels, it's a wrap. You can't give them an edge anywhere, but you got to be smart about it, and that's part of competing that our guys were.
Coach Brown, that the end of the first half, that 8-0 run, Keegan in the corner, and he knocked down that three, but it was DeMar DeRozan, who could have probably had a midi. He passed it off to Keegan so he can make that happen. What did you call that? A confidence check, for Keegan, because he was sitting there waiting, and of course he did his job.
Keegan, he's a great shooter, and as long as he doesn't hesitate when he catches the ball, you just got to make quick decisions with it. He's going to be fine, and he's had those shots throughout the course of the year, and they haven't always gone down for him. But the thing that you like about it, he's going to continue to shoot it, and he's going to continue to shoot it with confidence, because any great shooter, if you keep that confidence, it's eventually going to go in. And you could tell with DeMar making that pass, he has just as much confidence as Keegan has in him making the shot. And that's, again, what one of our standards of playing for each other. That's all they did.
Mike, you just touched on, kind of, I think over the course of a season, maybe you need a moment like this. A team might need a moment. What, in your experience, does this do for a group when you have to pull together, you have to fight, you have to find a way to win a game and push back against a team that's pushed you in the recent past? Like, what can this do for a group?
When you're on this level, every team is good. And a lot of times what it comes down to is where one team can find an edge over the other. And that one thing most times is belief, whether it's real or it's fake, or you got it because of this or you got it because of that. And so anytime you win games, it adds to the belief. Or anytime you play the right way, It adds to the belief. And, that's something that, you always got to try to look for. And tonight, with a win versus a very good team, it just adds to the belief of what we should already understand that we can do, night in and night out. And if we want to be great, I tell this to our team, I tell this to Fox, you can have a lot of definitions of great. People may say you got to be able to do this, you got to be able to do that. But there's one word or characteristic that comes, in my opinion, that everybody would add to whatever their definition of great is. And that's having a level of consistency. So when getting that belief or adding to the belief is great in helping you try to get over the hump in whatever you're trying to do, but you have to be consistent with it. And so at the end of the day, it just adds to what we're already trying to do and who we already think we are.